I don't know that this will help anybody, but I'm just doing an update on my life, and I'll be 84 in September. My driver's license to be renewed, um, and on August 5th, which was yesterday, and living with someone who has fits of rage. Uh, they're actually getting worse, or I'm getting less tolerant. I don't know which. But because my father used to beat me up when I was a child, I have an absolute post-traumatic stress syndrome, terrified of being tested of any kind of a test and failing. So I never went into competitions, dance competitions, ski competitions. Um, a lot of people tried to push me to do that, and there's no way I could do that. Um, but anyway, to get ready, I had a problem now. Always had a problem with my bladder. I pee too much, and I think it started out with holding it. That's what scientists once told me. When I was a child, I had to go to school, so I wouldn't drink anything, I wouldn't eat anything, because eating and drinking would affect me. And I wanted to get, I was really obsessed with getting through school. From the age of 5, I was accidentally in grade 1 at 5 years old. But by the time I was 7, my father was beating us up. Anyway, so my routine, I start at 1 o'clock in the morning to have my coffee so I could stop peeing because it takes me 5 hours to function. Unbelievable. And because of my sinuses and my lungs and the low pressure, I start taking choking fits in the middle of the night, midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. And garlic pills have kept me from choking to death. Yeah. Now there's 2 kinds. One is a liquid, and it's hard on the stomach, but I can handle it. But my mother never could. There's another one that's it's an American product, Nature's Bounty, and it doesn't digest in the stomach. It's in the bowel, so it's 2,000 milligrams, and I have to take a dozen of those. Well, on and off, not all at once. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, this and my tumor on my leg is so much worse, and the nerve damage so much worse. My balance is off between the sinuses and my lungs and so on. And the multiple chemical sensitivities are actually not as bad as they used to be, because I've been in a gas mask since 1987. But we've had wildfires, and so to get clean air, I check. I have only 2 windows that I open, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I have this little timer. I'm living with this, and I wake myself up every couple of hours, and I check the windows, and I open them between 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning, and I just sniff it, and believe me, I'm going to take an attack 2 seconds flat if there's any toxic air. And we've had low pressure pollution, industrial pollution, sitting low to the ground. But we've been really lucky so far. My city is surrounded by hills, and it's like a little pocket. So the bad air has been going around us. But now my eyes are so bad. I was like this when I was 25. I'm back wearing sunglasses to be able to read. Lights just flare into my eyes, and it's like burning, and it hurts. So anyway, I I managed to do this to get, and plus Dan has surgery on Friday, so I've been getting up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning to be ready and prepared so that I can do my driver's test at 9 o'clock, and his surgery is at 8 o'clock. It hasn't happened yet, but anyway, I just wanted an update on how bad and stressed out, and my nerves were just terrible. And a young man, I think he was from India, but anyway, at the government office downtown in Sudbury, Ontario, I would have failed the eye test. I was in such a state of nerves and paranoia and scared that I kind of gave up and said, okay, that's all I can read clearly. And he said, well, just take your time and concentrate and no distractions, and just see if you can do the next line, and just give it your best effort now. I think you can do it. He was so sweet. God, I wish Dan had a little of that in him. And so kind and compassionate, and he sensed that I needed encouragement. Well, I went through the next line, and the next line, and the next line. And he said, your glasses are perfect. Well, here's the thing. They were dollar store glasses. My $700 glasses were getting flares, and I was having trouble seeing. I'm so mad at Gagnon, and I'm going to talk to my eye doctor. I see her at the end of the month about getting some kind of a special anti-glare lens, and where she recommends I go, because I ain't going back there. Imagine that, the dollar store glasses were, but anyway, God bless them. It was such a wonderful experience, and then he had me take my glasses off, and he said, now just take your time and concentrate. You'd be surprised what you can see. And by gum, I got through about 4 lines. I didn't think I could see any. And what I learned a long time, if I squint really hard, I don't know what it does, but I could see better. So anyway, and he was so sweet, and he agreed with me that I said, I don't like bifocals. I paid a lot of money for bifocals, and that stupid line and that just causing a distortion at the bottom gave me nausea. I said, I don't read and drive at the same time. And he laughed with me. He said, no, me neither. I don't like bifocals. Oh my God, he was such a sweetheart. Oh man. So afterwards I said, oh, I'd have never made it without you. You're absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. I said, you know, my father beat me when I was a child if I didn't get good marks, and it left me with a scar in my head, and whenever I have to get a test, I'm so paranoid and I'm in such a state of nervous breakdown. And he said, you know, I sense that. That's why I pushed you a little bit. He said, my father did the same thing to me. I understand. And I said, oh my goodness, you are so sensitive. What can I say? I'm just so grateful. I hope you're here when I have to come back in 2 years. And I said, bless you and have a good life. Well, we got out of there, and I was on such a high. And the next stage, we had to go and get a prescription refill for the antibiotic ointments for Dan's surgery, because he misused them. Instead of 1 drop, he was squeezing the bottle, and it was almost empty. And it's 5 days away. All of a sudden, he went into a fit of, I'm not going to Bradley's. If I need a refill, I have to go to the doctor. You don't go to the doctor for a prescription refill. You go to the drugstore. And he went at me, and finally I just flew in. That's it. Take me home. Cancel your surgery. I'm going into a nursing home. Now, snapped right out of it. I don't know what it is when I say I'm leaving and going in a nursing home, but he just comes to his senses. And what's going on, I don't know. He's been doing stuff lately. He'd be in the wrong lane, and I'd tell him, and he'd fly into a rage. Um, he damaged 3 tires going over the sidewalk, the little cement barrier in parking lots. And too quick. And then just boom. Yeah, I had to pay for 3 tires. I said, from now on, you're paying for your tires. Anyway, I've been under such stress, so when he did that, I got so sick that afterwards I started to convulse in my stomach, and stuff oozed out of my belly button. I don't know what that is, but my nerves just went crazy. I took a terrible attack, horrific pain, nerve convulsions, and it was awful. And it's tragic that at his age you cannot learn to be kind and compassionate like this lovely man was. So sad. My stomach is still topsy-turvy. And I did throw up a little bit during the night, but because I was half asleep, I swallowed it. And then I got up and I had 1 cup of goat's milk. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but oh boy, God bless goats and goat's milk. And then it settled my nausea, and I was able to sleep last night. And God bless that lovely man in the government main office. What a sweetheart. You know, a little kindness goes a long way. Anyway, that's enough for me. That's just my little update. No change on okra. I did have to cut back. I can't swallow fiber like I used to. My throat seizes on me. And so I've changed my smoothie and cut back on the okra. But that's okay. My memory is A1. Since 1995, okra reversed the brain damage. So please check out my website, share it with the world, and I hope someday the fraud in our real estate and corruption in our laws will change. And I hope Canada never, ever, ever depends on Americans again. I love Americans, don't get me wrong, but Trump is evil, and what he's done is tragic and really hurt Canada bad. So I'm just saying prayers for everybody around the planet. May someday humans become like this young man, kind, compassionate. God bless.